And with us right now, we've got David Alemian of, you're the president and CEO of Alemian and Associates. Your website is gettaxfreeincome.com. Well, that sounds good. David, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Fun fact that you know of, how many other David Alemians are there?
There are no other David Alemians on the entire planet. Out of 7.5 billion people, I'm the only David Alemian.
All right. There were just some expectant parents now. They said, challenge accepted. You change the last name, make sure their kid's name is David. I used to be one of the only Josh Elledges out there, and it's on hold right now. But the upcoming season of The Bachelorette, there's actually a contestant from Minnesota, and his name is Josh Elledge. So there goes my vanity Google search results. It's hard to compete with a Bachelorette contestant.
Yeah, it is tough to compete with.
Well, David, you're originally from Boston, found yourself down in Oceanside, and kind of explain what you do with Alemian and Associates.
Well, we help people solve the problem and the challenge. We do two things, actually. We help people solve the problem and the challenge of retirement, and we do that for individuals. We also do something for corporations. You see, one of the biggest problems that employers have is finding highly skilled, talented people. In other words, there's a talent shortage. And it's actually not only in this country, it's globally. If you Google talent shortage, you'll see articles from all around the world. But it's also one of the most expensive and costly program challenges that employers have. Do you know that according to the Department of Labor, the cost to replace a highly educated employee earning $100,000 and up is 213% of salary? That means somebody earns $100,000 and that's the floor. It costs $213,000 to replace that individual. Mm-hmm. Somebody earning $250,000, and there's plenty of them in the professions, healthcare, the legal profession, the accounting profession, all of them. It costs $535,500 to replace that individual.
Yeah. Why? What's going on? How come it costs so much? Shouldn't you just be able to just put an ad on Craigslist and hire your top level executives?
Actually, in some companies, like say, for example, a software company where the technology is proprietary, losing the wrong individual, the wrong engineer, could put that company out of business.
Yeah.
It's just, there just aren't enough skilled people to go around. But here's the other problem. When a company has a position, a high level position that absolutely must be filled, well, pretty much before COVID anyway, everybody who wants a job already has one. That means the only place you can really find a highly skilled individual is to go take one from another company. But what employees have found out is one way to move up in the world is to jump ship, because nobody expects you to make a lateral move.
Right.
So now the new company, the other company has a new employee, and the company that had this employee, they're now looking for another employee. And it just goes on and on. But it gets even a bigger problem. Most, say, small business people view the sale of their business as their retirement nest egg. Okay. Well, investors or buyers of a company, one of the most important things they look for is the talent, the team, the key employees. So what happens? An employer puts his business up for sale. Say it's a $10 million business, for example. And all the analysts say it's $10 million. So why is the buyer offering $5 million? Because he's the one taking all the risk. Because he will say, what's to stop? Who are your most key employees? And they say, well, these 10 people over here. Well, what's to stop any one of them, or all of them for that matter, from walking out the door as soon as I take possession of the company? Mm-hmm. In other words, what am I buying here? A building and desks and chairs and computers? No, I'm going to give you $5 million. What I do is I create a program, a retention program, that ties those key employees to the company. Call it golden handcuffs. So that when someone goes to package that company up for sale, the key employees are happily tied to that company. So when the buyer says, what's to stop your key employees from going out that door, or investors in the company, maybe they just want to expand and they're bringing in investors, they can say, those key employees, they're not going anywhere. They may be 2 years into a 10-year vesting period of say a lifetime tax-free income, because that's what ties the employees to the company. So, but that goes beyond. Now let's back up. What about the key employees? Why are they tied to the company? Because what most people don't realize is, well, let me back up again. Not everybody, but most people live a lifestyle equivalent to their income.
Mm-hmm.
You got a $50,000 income, you got a $50,000 lifestyle, and that's the average income in America today. Got a $500,000 income, you got a $500,000 lifestyle. And
we would hope, we've seen, you've seen some statistics where if someone's making 50, they're oftentimes live like a $55,000 lifestyle, just above their means, right?
Exactly. Well, somebody will say, well, what's that guy over there or that gal over there? What are you worried about them? They're making $500,000. Look at their house, the cars, the kids in private school, vacations.
Oh man, you could be rich poor. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, because between all of that, it probably costs them $20,000 a month to live. Well, you get $500,000 in income. Uncle Sam takes his share. What's left? $250, maybe? What's 20,000 times 12? $240. What's left? Nothing. They're like so many other people living paycheck to paycheck, just a big paycheck. They got lots of lifestyle, very little savings. So what happens to these people is, depending on what age they started having kids, now people say, well, what's that got to do with it? Somewhere in their mid-40s to early 50s, an alarm goes off in the back of their head. And what happens is, what triggers that alarm? They write that first college tuition check for their first kid's college education. And realize they got a whole bunch more of those checks to write. And whatever little savings they have, gone. And the alarm that's going off in their head is saying, I've been working for 20 years, I got nothing saved. How on earth am I going to, in the next 20 years, save enough money so I can stop working and still maintain my lifestyle? Can't do it. So what we do is we create lifetime tax-free income streams. It's called a Supplemental Executive Retirement Plan, a SERP. And we fund it with life insurance. And the employer pays for it and gives it to the employee with an agreement that the employee agrees to work at that company, stay there for a specific period of time. Call it a vesting period, 5 years, 10 years, 15, whatever it is. At the end, the employer turns over that retirement benefit to the employee, and the employee will have lifetime financial security that will fully support their lifestyle. I mean, look at before the 401k, for example, which came out in 1978. Most people spent their entire career at one, maybe two companies. Why? They wanted that lifetime pension, and they'd work as long as it took to get it. Along comes the 401k, and what happened? Anything holding the employee to the company went away. Back then, to protect the retirement benefits, companies hired from within so that you could move up the ladder in your career. It's with the same company, but you're still moving up the ladder. And employees were grateful, and they were loyal to the company. All that loyalty both ways went away with the qualified plan. So what we're doing is, in a better way, a much less expensive, less costly way, is to create these supplemental executive retirement plans. But it gets one step better. We can literally finance these plans. So on day one, that retirement plan is fully funded. And we do it with bank financing at a very, very low interest rate. And the reason it's so low is because this is a loan that's collateralized with the cash in the plan. Banks love that. You buy a building, what's the collateral? The building. Banks hate that. They're not in the real estate business. But this is a plan that's backed up not only by the cash in the plan, but also by the death benefit of that life insurance policy. So, and unlike, say, for example, the few organizations or places where you can work to get a pension would be like maybe a city or a town or state government jobs mostly. And what's happening? Well, many cities and towns and municipalities and state governments, they're going bankrupt. Why? Because for decades, they have been underfunding those plans. And one other thing, people are living longer. which
Yeah,
means
David. Okay, so again, just to kind of
sorry.
take a pause here for people that are listening to our conversation here. So one thing you could do is if you want to, you can go to, obviously you can do a Google search for SERP, SERP, SERP plan. You can go to get tax-free income, you click on business clients, and then David's got kind of a guide that goes through and explains exactly what a SERP is. And again, SERP stands for Supplemental Executive Retirement Plan. Does this, it kind of has the feel of kind of golden handcuffs.
Exactly. And by the way, you're correct. You can learn all about that at gettaxfreeincome.com.
Okay. So in terms of like, at what level does it start to make sense to, if you're the founder of a company, at what level does it start to make sense to put together a SERP plan for some of your key employees?
If you have, well, that's the beauty of it. It's scalable. If you have one key employee, you could do this for one employee. If you have 50, you could do it for 50 key employees. Now, unlike a qualified plan, you don't have to offer, if you offer it to one, you have to offer it to, it's not like that at all. You have full discretion over who you offer it to. You could give it to this one, skip that one, give it to the other one. I mean, that's one of the beauties of this plan. But the people that you need, it holds them to the company. Now, for individuals.
But just so I understand, so the way that you talked about it is that you can actually front load the SERP so it has immediate value to it. Is that what you were talking about?
Well, we can basically borrow the money from a bank. Now,
right.
There are.
And why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Because, because you only serve in this, the way it's designed, you're only servicing the interest on the loan. So that money that's in the plan is growing and compounding within the plan. And all we're doing is cash flow wise, we're just paying us 3.5%, 4%. So 3.5, 4 cents on the dollar. We have all that money working hard to tie our employees to the company. Then
so it's kind of like an insurance policy toward retention, really.
Exactly. It's also, on the other hand, you can use it for recruiting. For example, you need a key person and he or she is really qualified, and you make them an offer. Their whole thing is, why should I come work for you? I got 5 other offers over here. Well, if you come with us, you'll have financial security for life. And that is a hard thing to walk away from or say no to.
Because what we're going to do is we're immediately going to give you a, $50,000 SERP. It's going to be sitting here collecting interest or set aside for you, something like that.
Well, actually, it can be a $50,000 one. It could be a $400,000 one. I mean, there's almost no limit. So it's scalable to the importance and the size of that particular individual. For example, healthcare. Healthcare is a huge problem. There's a shortage of physicians. There's a shortage of nurses. There's a shortage of key executives. And these are skills that they just don't grow on trees. You just can't go out and find them almost anywhere. So it becomes a very, very powerful way to attract and then retain those employees. I'll give you one more piece. What if you wanted to build a world-class organization? You could offer this to your key employees, the ones you want to keep, and you don't give it to the ones that you don't want to keep. Then over time, through attrition, as you bring on more highly skilled people, you offer it to them. Over time, you can take a middle of the road organization and turn it into a world-class organization with world-class talent. Which in today's world.
Yeah. So then the idea, again, just basic, because so the idea then is that they don't get the cash value of it, or they don't get to liquidate that or use those funds until a certain specified date, or how does that get set?
Either a date or a period of time. In other words, we're not just giving it to them and then they can walk out the door. In other words, they have to stay there and complete a time. If they leave before that date or period of time, they walk away without anything. And the money that the employer put into the plan is still sitting there in the plan, which means there's no risk for the employer. It's
okay. So if you lose that employee, the employer is not like, well, crap, I just lost all the blah, 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 blah. It still sits in this account and you could just hand it over or assign it to somebody new then.
You could do whatever you want with it. It's your money.
Now, if I'm not mistaken too, there's the tax-free advantage. So explain the tax implications for this.
Great question. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that life insurance, there's cash value life insurance, there's term insurance, and there's cash value life insurance. Cash value life insurance builds a cash value to it. And now, as it grows and it compounds, and then whenever you want, when there's money in there, you can pull that money out. You can pull it out in a lump sum. You can pull it out in a lifetime income stream. But the money comes out in the form of a loan against the death benefit of the policy. Since it's a loan, the IRS does not consider it income, which means that's how we have tax-free income. This has been going on since 1913 when the IRS started. I mean, this isn't something new or anything. This has been going on forever. As a matter of fact, before the 401k came along and people had pensions, well, what about the people who were self-employed or worked for companies that didn't have pensions? They put money into whole life insurance policies, and it would build a big cash reserve, and they'd pull the money out and it'd be tax-free. But here's what's really important, what people really need to learn. Right now, we're at a low point of taxation. I mean, for the last 40 years, taxes have hovered between mid-30s, upper 30s to low 40s. Before that, from 1950 to 1963, taxes were in the 90% range. Before that, and for decades, they were over 70%. The way people sheltered their money from those huge, enormously high taxes was they dumped millions into whole life insurance policies and pulled the money out in the form of loans so that they weren't paying those taxes. Now, and these huge tax spikes always occurred when the government needed money. World War I, World War II, after World War II, building highways and infrastructure and so on. Well, right now, the government just spent trillions, and they're going to have to spend trillions more, which means the government needs money. So which way do you think taxes are going to go? Do you think those go up, go down, or stay the same? Most people think they'll go up. Well, the only way you can protect yourself from those future higher taxes that are coming is to build an income stream that will be tax-free. That way, no matter how high taxes go, it doesn't affect you. And that is how you can protect yourself. Now, individuals, for example, what if you're an individual and you have a great income and you want to protect yourself from taxes in the future? You could start one of these plans for yourself. Rather than put your money into, say, the stock market or into a 401k, whatever, you could put your money into one of these life insurance policies, let the money grow and compound there. It's protected from market losses, but when it comes out 100% tax-free. Wow, how cool is that?
No kidding. Well, I like this. Okay, so homework assignment for everybody here is go research what a SERP is, and you can go to David's website, get tax-free income. He's got some good information that'll help you understand that. So David, when you work with your clients, what does that typically look like?
Well, I'll talk about where they're at, what they've been doing, what they want to do in the future, and what would they like their dream life to be like. Then I say, okay, how much income would it take, net, by the way, to do that? And we'd figure that out. Then I would use software to figure out how much money we'd have to put into this so that at this particular age, whatever age that may be, that they would have enough tax-free income to fund that lifestyle. I'll give you one little, a real life case. There was a physician, and he was a specialist. He made a very, very good living, a young guy. And we figured out how much money he would need in retirement to be able to maintain his lifestyle the way he wanted it to be. And we came out with a number, and then we calculated how much he'd have to put in and I asked him, what age do you want to retire? 65, 70? He says, I don't know. I says, okay, let's figure out how much you'll need for retirement at age 65. That way, you want to retire then, you have the money. You want to retire later, that's fine. The worst that will happen is you'll have even more money and more abundance in your retirement. And we were able to do that. So now, no matter what happens, he's going to have the lifestyle that he wants in his retirement. Now, one more thing. Unlike a qualified plan where you can't take the money out till age 59 and a half, this thing builds a cash reserve, which becomes a financial safety net during your working years, which means you can access that money at any time, so that way you don't get into that debt over your head and so on. And these are things that I talk to my clients all about and help them so that they have the lifestyle they want, they have the abundance that they want, and they're really free from financial worries. And it really works very, very well.
Fantastic. All right, David, Alemian, your website, gettaxfreeincome.com. And again, you got some great information. What would be the first step? Obviously just kind of browse your website, kind of learn. Do you have anything that would be a good first next step for people beyond that?
Probably the best step that someone could do is call my number that's on the website, the phone number on the website, and then we can just talk. We can have a Zoom meeting if you want, or we can just talk on the phone and then decide, okay, what would be the next course of action from there? But an initial conversation, which is complimentary. I mean, it's just exploring how it is that I can be of service to them, and then figure out what's possible. And then we just take it from there. It's just natural progression after that.
All right, David Alemian, President and CEO of Alemian and Associates. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.